another session of the LPE Author Chat series. I am your host, Kimberly K. LaBoo, CEO and founder of LaBoo Publishing Enterprise. And we are in the midst of celebrating our authors of The Mom in Me 2, The Mom in Me Volume 2. Our launch is coming up on June the 5th, so make sure you check us out and be sure to just join us for all the fun on that day. And so we have another special guest with us on this evening. And our guest now is Miss Portia Mosby. So welcome to the broadcast, Portia.
Hi, everybody. Thank you,
So
Kimberly.
happy to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. And so Portia's chapter title is I Was Never Alone. And Portia is also the first person you'll see in the book. I don't even know if you knew that.
I did.
And her chapter is first, so she will be the first chapter that you will get to in the book.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Portia, you were just coming out of another book project, writing for another book project when the call went out for The Mom and Me Too. So, why don't you tell us why you said yes to this project?
Well, to be honest with you, I was following the Mom and Me volume one, and it looked
Mm,
so interesting. I was like, wow, that will really give me um a chance to, really get my story out about motherhood because I've
mhm.
had quite some struggles with motherhood, but I couldn't be
Yeah,
a part of it because I was like you said, I was already involved with another project, and that was just
yeah.
too much for me at the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, that just sparked my interest, and I said, you know what, the next if she comes out with another one, I gotta jump on that. There was no way I could pass it up. I just couldn't.
Awesome. Well, I am so happy that you said yes. And
Too.
so, why don't you tell me what your chapter title? Let's talk a little bit about your chapter title and why you named it what you did. So, I was never alone.
I named it I Was Never Alone because there's moments in life that we may feel like we're alone, but as a believer of Jesus Christ and along my Christian journey, along my
Mhm.
spiritual walk and my relationship with him, he's taught me that I'm not alone. And
Yeah.
he's there with me in the valleys and in the hard places and in the dark places, and he's always there with me. So that's why I named it that, because I found
Awesome.
that to be true in my
Yeah.
journey to motherhood. Yeah.
Yeah, and reading about your journey, it's like, I just don't even know how you do it without that. And so,
Exactly.
um, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to share parts of your chapter with the audience and then ask you some questions.
Okay.
And so you opened your chapter, you said, I was 15 and remember being taken to this building downtown in the city where I lived. I was scared, anxious, and felt alone. When I entered the building, it was dark and cold. I was asking myself if I should really be there because something in me was screaming this was all wrong. You went on to say, when I walked into the room, I saw all sorts of instruments and my eyes felt like they were about to pop out of their sockets. I grew more terrified, wondering what they were for. The room was dark and cold too. I wanted to leave badly, but again, I didn't. I was too terrified to move. You talked about the doctor and how he made you feel like he was just uninterested in your mental space. But then you had the nurse who was very compassionate and held your hand and she talked to you and she told you that you had a choice. You said she was the only person that ever told you that you had a choice. You said, my mind was racing. I was paralyzed with fear, very confused and conflicted. I didn't fully understand what was happening or why I was made to feel that I didn't have a say in the decision that was clearly being made, made for me. After 30 minutes or so, it was done. My pregnancy was ended. I just had an abortion at 15 years old. So, first, I want to ask you, like, what made you want to share about something that is so deeply personal, um, and then a little bit about what your experience was like, even writing about it.
Um, well, first of all, the reason why I shared that is because it was something that was still, after all these years, it's still tugs at my heart. It does.
Mhm.
It,
Mhm.
even though I'm secure in my relationship with Jesus Christ, I know He
Yeah.
forgives me for my sins and things of that nature. But
Mhm.
it the closer that I became with Jesus, in our relationship, the more I felt, how can I, what's the word that I want to use? I just felt conflicted as far as,
Mhm.
some of the things that I've done in my life. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I just don't like to disappoint him. I don't, I just don't like to disappoint him. Let's just say
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
But as far as the reason why I wanted to come out with it is also because I wanted to also let other people know that they do have a choice. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to do, you don't have to get an abortion if you don't want to get an abortion. Don't let someone else talk you into doing something that you may regret later on down the road. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
you have an opinion, you have a mind of your own, like I said, if it was if I could have changed anything that I had been through, I would have never done that. Like,
Wow.
if I would have known that I had a decision, and I had a place in that decision
Mhm.
at the time, my decision would have been no, absolutely not.
Wow.
If I would have known now, I mean, then what I know
Mhm.
now, you know.
Right.
So yeah, but
Absolutely.
yeah, I just want to be transparent because
Mhm.
people they deserve transparency. Number one, they deserve it.
Yeah.
They deserve honesty, and they need to know that there's other people out there that deal with the same things that they've dealt with. They just
Mhm.
may not have spoken up about it, or want to put it out there like that, but they
Yeah.
need to know that there are other people out there just like them. We're all human. We all mess
Absolutely.
up. We all make mistakes. We all have
Mhm.
things that we've done that we regret. And
Yeah.
the more honest that you become with yourself, the better off it is for you. That's how
Yeah.
I feel. It made me feel
Yeah.
great being transparent and
Yeah.
honest.
I think they say what you're only as sick as your deepest secret.
There you go.
I've
That's
heard that
it.
said. And
That's
so
it.
I can really, it's freeing
And it
to be
is.
able to, put it out there and show how you've grown and how you've healed and all of that. And so I commend you,
Thank
for sharing your testimony, to be able to help and support other people who may be going through it or have went through it. And then, like you said, it's still there.
you.
Like,
Yeah,
that need to know that they can still go on and be forgiven and all those
exactly.
sorts of things. So I appreciate that you shared that with us.
Yeah.
And so you were only 15 years old at the time. And so,
Hmm.
like, how at 15 do you even begin to process the emotions of all of that at such a young age?
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't. I didn't know, what was going on. I mean, of course, I mean, I knew I was pregnant. I knew
Right.
how I got
Hmm.
pregnant. I knew all that, but to
Yeah.
process the hard details, the going in
Hmm.
there, just being in that building and just, experiencing what I experienced. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what is actually happening? Like, I didn't know, like,
Yeah.
what was going on, like the clinical details that go into
Hmm.
it, all types of things. And then afterwards, like, years and years went by, and I'm just like, wow, this is what I did, this is what I agreed to, this is what. So
Wow.
the shame, the guilt, just it just it taunted
Hmm.
me. It did. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna sugarcoat anything. It taunted me, and it was just like
Hmm.
a constant nightmare to live over and over every day. And I was just like,
Wow.
wow. So yeah, but like you said, with me being transparent and honest and putting it out there,
Hmm.
it is very liberating, very very.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm free from it. I am. I don't have any more shame. I don't walk in that. I don't operate in that. I don't operate in the guilt, in the hurt, in the disgust.
Right.
And I don't operate in any of those things because I know my Father in heaven, He sees me and He knows
Yeah.
my heart. He does.
Amen. Absolutely. So then you said it had been 7 years since the abortion. I was 21 years old and discovered I was pregnant. It was
Yeah.
like I was pregnant for the first time and God was giving me a clean slate. I was so happy and excited. He had given me a second chance, and I wasn't going to disappoint him. There was an urgency and obligation to please him and make him proud. My child's father was a few years younger than me. He was very scared. He wasn't ready to be a dad, and it would become clear when my daughter was born. But then you talked about giving birth is a beautiful display of love. I told myself repeatedly that I would be the best mom to my baby girl. But then
Yeah.
you also wrote about being a single mom, and that it doesn't come with a handbook. And you said there is no right way or wrong way to parent, that you do it all in your unique own way. So
Yeah.
you talked about, the pain of seeing your children um, operate in this life without their fathers and what that was like for you to be able to watch them go through that and not really feel like there was too much that you could do about it. So talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that for a minute.
Well, um, my two oldest children have the same father, and my baby girl has a different father. But um, the difference between the two fathers is that one was he attempted to be to be present, and then the other
Hmm.
one just made no effort at all. That's
Okay.
really it in a nutshell. But
Hmm.
there was some struggles with my first two children, their dad. We were actually in a really good relationship, and
Hmm.
he was a little younger than me, but the relationship was good until it wasn't,
Yeah.
and he was
And
scared.
not always the case.
Yeah. He was scared, and he figured, oh, let me, I see who she is. She's a good person. She's this, she's that. She really loves my daughter. She really loves my son.
Hmm.
She's going to take good care of him. And oftentimes a lot of us females, we get caught up in those relationships where we get with these guys and they do see us for those good mamas, and then it gives
Mm.
them a scapegoat, like, oh, I can go
Wow.
because she got this. No, no,
Mm.
no, we got this. That's the way
Yeah.
it's supposed to be. But he didn't,
Right.
he didn't see it that way. And of course, he was battling with his own issues and,
Hmm.
dealing with his own trauma and pain and
Yeah.
things of that nature. So yeah.
Yeah.
And with
Yeah.
my youngest baby's father, her father just did not want to be a part of her life. He made that decision and didn't want to
Hmm.
be a part of her life. So to this day, I mean, she knows who he is because I've made sure that she
Right.
knows who he is. She's actually had a conversation with him, and it was more heartbreaking than not having a conversation with him. Let's
Wow.
just say that. And it was
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I kind of shielded her from that for a while. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
she
absolutely.
herself to reach out to him. She found him. And
Oh,
I'm like,
wow,
yeah,
good.
she found him. And she was like, okay, yeah, I want to do this. I'm like, okay. And I was right there by her side. And it was just
That's
very
awesome.
heartbreaking. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
heartbreaking because
Oh.
for me, I saw the same person that I was dating before I got pregnant with her. Not one thing,
Oh, wow.
not one thing. And I'm like, this is how you treat a child that you don't know. Like, this is your child, and this is your child because we've proven it. So,
Yeah.
okay, but yeah, so those are some of
Yeah.
the reasons. I won't go into too much detail because that's
No,
giving
no,
away.
no. Yeah, I just wanted you to touch on that a little bit because I
Mhm.
know that there are a lot of single parents out there single moms out there that struggle with that. It's like, how do you protect them, protect their hearts, when that parent is missing and and that was my story growing up, with my dad not
Wow.
being there and
Wow. Yeah.
just really having that desire
Mhm.
to be, to have him in my life. And luckily, later on in life, in my 30s, we
Yeah.
were able to rekindle that relationship before he passed not long after. But
That's cool.
yeah, and so, I have nothing but amazing things to say about my dad at this point. But
Yeah.
yeah, but you struggle with, and I watch my mom struggle with how to deal with my emotions, as a child around that,
Hmm.
sitting outside waiting for him to show up and then him not showing up. And it's
Through it.
just wow,
Yeah. I've
no,
watched my two oldest do the same
yeah,
thing and get
yeah,
disappointed time
it's
after time after
heartbreaking.
time. And I'm
Yeah.
like you. I mean, I met my dad when I was a teenager.
Oh,
I
wow.
found out who he was, and it's it's crazy because the small town that I lived in and grew up
Mhm.
in, we my dad's family was a huge family, and then
Mhm.
my mom's side of the family was a huge family. We were two of the biggest families in the whole town, but
Wow.
everybody was like family, so everybody
Mhm.
knew everybody. So it was just like, how could I not know this was my father? You know,
Wow.
everybody else around me knew. Everybody else around me knew. And then
Wow.
when I found out and it was confirmed, I'm like, okay, oh, okay. So it was hard for me too.
Yeah.
It was hard, and I we developed a relationship. It wasn't the best
Mhm.
because I have 8 other brothers and sisters.
Wow.
Side.
Wow.
Yeah. So it wasn't always the best, but before he passed away, um we made things right. We made things
Nice.
right. He knew that I loved him,
Nice.
and I knew that he loved
Yeah.
me regardless, in spite of. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was happy
Yeah,
that
it's like, as girls, we want our daddies in our lives. And
oh, we
so,
really do. And
we
people
really
don't know the
do.
effect that it has on a. I'm not
Mhm.
taking away from a boy's experiences, with his
Yeah.
dad, but a
Mhm.
girl, I mean, that can
Yeah.
be like detrimental and life changing
Yeah.
if
She
a
always wants to be daddy's little girl.
right.
And it
I
affects the
would
way that we do everything else in life too.
It
So
does. It does.
it
How we
does.
choose the men in our lives and
Absolutely.
all types of things. So, and
Yeah.
I watch my son with his daughter, and he's so gentle with her, and I just love
Oh,
him. And that is she is not letting him out her sight.
that's
She is a
awesome.
daddy's girl for sure.
That's
Yeah, so you're
awesome.
absolutely right.
Yeah. So you said I grew up in the church and I am a pastor's kid.
I
A
am.
PK. We were talking about that earlier in the week. You said
Yeah.
my family and I were all taught to love the Lord. We are true believers of Jesus Christ, but we are far from perfect. There is a misconception that believers are supposed to be without sin. That's not true. And so, you've already shared a little bit, but talk about how important your faith has been along this journey.
Oh my goodness. If I didn't have a relationship with Jesus Christ, honestly, I don't know where I would be. Like, I mean, and I'm
Mhm.
being so real. Like, I really
Mhm.
don't know where I would be. Maybe
Yeah.
dead, maybe in a
Mhm.
nut house. I don't
Yeah.
know. Because it's
Yeah.
plenty of times where I knew I was just gonna crack and just lose my mind.
Mhm.
But he's kept me, and he's like my title of the chapter says, he was always there,
Never. Yeah.
and I was never
Yeah.
alone,
Never
and
alone.
he was always there. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Hmm.
awesome. So towards the end of your chapter, you had some advice. You said, when things get to be too much and you feel overwhelmed, stop, pray, and breathe.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
been my
I
thing.
really, yeah, I love that. I was like, well, what a great way to bring the chapter to a close.
Yeah.
So tell me, what do you want readers to gain from reading your chapter?
I just want them to know that they are not alone. And that's number one.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if they're not believers of Jesus Christ, that's fine. So I'm not trying to push anybody and push,
Hmm.
religion on anyone or anything like that. I'm just being my authentic self because I love the Lord with
Yeah.
all my heart. And if you don't have Jesus Christ in your life, maybe you should try him. You never know. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just I just for me, I just would like for my readers to see that it's okay. Like, just stop
Mhm.
and just pray, just breathe. Take, even if you have to count down from 10, do that, do whatever you
Mhm.
need. You have to protect your peace. You have to protect that
Absolutely.
mental space, and self-care. Oh my goodness, self-care is everything. You cannot take care of anybody else if you don't take care of yourself.
That's the truth.
That's really what I want them to get, because
Yeah.
kids, your children, they depend on you, they look up to you, and they look at you as this this figure of perfection. You know, kids
Mhm.
don't know. They just, oh, well, mom will fix everything. Dad will fix everything. You know, they fix everything. They have all the answers. That's what kids, that's how they
Right.
believe. I know that's what I thought when I was younger.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
but we know that that's not true. We can't fix
Hmm.
everything. And then, but I just want people to know that it's okay. It's okay. And it's
Yeah.
okay to allow yourself to feel, you know,
Absolutely.
allow yourself to feel.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
That's great advice. And so tell people where they can purchase a copy of The Mom and Me Too from you, and also find out about your other work.
Oh, yeah. So I'm still in the process of getting this book added to my landing page for the day she
Okay.
left. I'm still in
Hmm.
process of doing that. So
Okay.
it's not done yet. But if you would
Okay.
like to purchase a copy of this amazing book, because it is amazing,
It's
if you want to, yes, it
amazing.
is not just my story, but the rest, the whole book. Everybody has a
Yes.
great, great story in this
Yes.
book. So beautiful people, beautiful moms
Yeah.
that have been through the fire. So this is a really
Mhm.
good read. So if you want to purchase it, you can always go through my Cash App and pay for it through there for right now. And then once it gets added to my website, then I will put something out on Facebook and Instagram, my pages, my platforms that I usually use.
Yeah.
I'll
So
put that
just
out on
stay
there.
tuned.
Just stay tuned. Yeah. But
Yeah,
for
and plus
now,
we have the
cash
launch
out.
coming up. Yeah,
Mhm.
have the
Yeah.
launch coming up on the 5th, and so there'll be many opportunities for your supporters to actually support you. So that's
Yes.
awesome. And
Yep.
so, last but not least, what is a piece of advice that you would give to an aspiring author, like someone who's thinking about writing their story? And since you wrote about something that was so deeply personal, like somebody may be thinking about doing something like that. So, what advice and encouragement would you give to that writer?
Um, I would tell them to just do it. Just do it, write it, get your story out there because somebody needs to hear it.
Yeah.
Somebody is just waiting for you to tell your story. You don't know how many lives you can touch
Mhm.
and impact by getting your story out. Also, it's very therapeutic.
Yes.
Very therapeutic. I did not know that until I wrote, and participated in
Yeah.
the first anthology.
Yeah.
And that was so freeing and liberating for me. And it just changed a lot for me. I learned a lot
Hmm.
about myself too. So
Yeah.
yeah, just do it. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid about. Just do
Mhm.
it because people are waiting on your
Amen.
story.
That's right. And you never
Hmm.
know how your story is going to impact the life of someone else. And
That's
so,
right. Hmm.
what we go through is not for us anyway. And
Yeah,
so
that's
it's meant
right.
for us to be able to share our experiences and be able to help other people to heal and to
Exactly.
cope, and get delivered, get set free, all of that.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so,
Yep, that's cool.
amen.
Hmm.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Portia, for joining us on this evening. I'm so excited to have you here and have you as a part of this project. Thank you for your yes. Thank you for, agreeing to come on and share portions of your story. So I'm just so excited. We're getting so close to the launch.
No, about it too.
Yeah, it's almost
For
here.
having
So
me.
thank you. Oh, you're welcome.
Thank
And
you
to
for
our
the
viewing audience, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the LPE Author Chat series with our
yes.
special guest from The Mom in Me Volume 2. And like Portia said, if you're thinking about writing that book and you want to just do it, head on over to www.laboopublishing.com and connect with us there.
She
Thanks,
is great.
everyone.
Her.
Oh.
Great. Great. She's a
Thank you
blessing.
so much.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so we'll see you guys later. Have a great night. Take
Thank
care and
you.
be blessed.
Yeah,
You're
God
welcome.
bless.